Okay, so we're just about to share my screen. Here we go. All right. So, finding grants made easy. Discover how you can access millions of dollars for your community group today. So, the principles that I'll go through is about looking.
Can't see green.
Can't see it.
No.
So we're recording and Zoom, share screen.
Yep.
Okay, so finding grants made easy. Discover how you can access millions of dollars for your community group. So the principles that apply to community groups and organisations also apply to businesses as well. But there's two types of grants. So there's philanthropic grants, and then there's other sorts of grants. Anyway, we'll go through the presentation and we'll get to those sorts of grants later on. So finding grants, have you applied for grants and been rejected? So you might have applied before, and I know people have applied for grant after grant and been rejected. And people have come to me and said, I got rejected for this grant, and I don't know why. I really should have got that grant. And there's simple things that they just didn't do that you really need to do when you apply for grant. Are you wanting to learn how to find money and don't know where to start to get your project off the ground? So I've been successful in setting up a special school, a cafe for people with disabilities, domestic violence support groups, all through the processes that I'm going to share tonight. So who am I? So I'm the mother of two beautiful children, and the mother of one of my children has special needs. So this is me a couple of years ago. Before becoming a full-time carer, I was on a corporate trajectory. So I was travelling all around Australia and internationally, advising doctors and anaesthetists on medical products. And then I found out there was something wrong with my second daughter, and it's fair to say, but that was important. My prior career was important in enabling me to do the things that I've been able to do in applying for grants, standing in the state election, the federal election, those sorts of things. So this is some of the activities that I've done in the past. So this is me here. It might be difficult to recognise me, but this is a cheque that we got for one of the fundraising groups. I set up a not-for-profit group to raise money for children with disabilities. And this was a local organisation that was giving us, this is one of the councillors, another councillor and the local MP at the time, and they were giving us $1,000 for that group. And this is my daughter, my older daughter, when I won an award for disability advocacy. And this is at the local gym, again with a local MP and the managers at the gym, where we raised over $5,000. And these guys were really stunned at the fact that we were able to raise money, and the fact that people were coming and giving money to the cause. And I say that when you put form and function around your passion and purpose, the money comes. And that's what happened here. It's what happened with the fundraising as well. When you give people a reason to give and a way to do it, they will give. And again, I say the principles are the same if you're looking at grants for business, if you're looking at grants for whatever it is. Just check if some other people want to come on. Okay. So we'll have questions at the end, if that's all right. So I'll just keep going through the presentation. So here's my daughters. Again, I wouldn't have been on this trajectory if it wasn't for finding out there was something wrong with Imogen. So it was my past history in having a corporate trajectory, being able to write proposals and that sort of thing, being able to write big applications, big sales submissions. I've sold millions of dollars of products. I was state manager for an organisation and tripled the budget there as well. But then I had my daughter, and it shot me off in a different direction. So this is Imogen here when she was at early intervention. This is as a baby, and here she is She was about 10 here, and this is my older daughter. So Imogen takes up a lot of my time, I guess, but my older daughter is also very special and very special to me as well. So my background in writing grants comes about through setting up support groups, setting up things for people with disabilities, but I've also been able to apply it to other things. So this is one of my Christine Williams, and she said, I've never been one to let life's hiccups stop me from being the best that I can be. So my daughter Imogen was born with a disability, and I get up at 5 a.m. every day to start my daily routine. So, and that's just the way I get through and do what I have to do. And I decided some time ago that Imogen will be how she is, and it's up to me to live the best that I possibly can, because I can't change how Imogen is. So I do my best to live the best that I can. And I was looking for a way that I could help others, and I looked at the fact that I'd been 100% successful in setting up the things that I had, the special school, the cafe, the holiday programs, all of those things. And so I mapped out the steps that I'd taken to get there, and that's what I've got in this webinar and in the program. So in 2014-15, so I wrote this webinar a few years ago. It's now up to something like $80 billion. At 2014-15 financial year, philanthropic organisations gave over $15 billion a year. And the Australian government gave another $15 billion a year. And on the weekend, Scott Morrison just announced $66 billion worth of stimulus packages. So in $15 billion back then is grown. And last year, I think I saw figures quoted $80 billion. So there's a lot of money out there, and it's a matter of how you go about getting some of that in your pocket. And it says the Bureau of Statistics. I know that's not how it's spelled, but it's kind of like it's a typo, and I like it. Anyway, so $30 billion, like I said, on the weekend, Scott Morrison announced $66 billion of stimulus package, so $30 billion pales into comparison. So what are the steps for getting a grant, fundraising or sponsorship? So the 5 steps. So the first one is the beginning. So you've got to start somewhere, you've got to have an idea, you've got to figure out who you are, and then you write a proposal. And then the next step is writing your budget. And I know that I've heard people say, I've got this great idea, but they've just never put it into writing. They've never even, they haven't put it in writing. And what I say, if you put form and function around your passion and purpose, the money comes. So once you put things into writing, whether it's, divine, telling the universe, but the thing is that if you go to a local MP or if you go to a grant giver, you need to put it in writing. You need to have a proposal, and you need to make it as easy as you can. So the beginning, the first thing you need to do is to start. And you need to start with an idea. And you need to think about who you are and what you do. What do you do? What is it about you that you should get this money or you should get these resources, because it mightn't be money that you need. I've had that happen as well, where I've talked to people and they said, but I want to set up this, this support group. And I said, but do you really need money? Oh, yeah, but I need money. And we stepped through the process, and at the end of the day, it wasn't money that they actually needed. So you need to get clear on your mission statement. You need to get others to be able to buy into it. You need to be able to have people, others, carry it along for you. It's important because it's a sales message, if you like. I know that people don't like that, selling things. But the thing is, you need to sell your idea. Same again, whether it's business or whether it's not-for-profit organizations, you need to be very clear. And there's actually something of a benefit in just applying for a grant, even if you're not going to be successful, even if it's not quite for you, because it focuses what you do. I mean, you'd much rather spend your time and get the money, but I'm saying that it's a worthy thing to do. So step 2, writing your proposal. What should be in your proposal? So you need to think about the problem that you're solving in your project. So I've heard people say, oh, you know, but I want to help the homeless. Well, but what do you want to do for the homeless? You know, is it that you want to get them off the street? Do you want to give them jobs? Do you want to feed them? So it needs to be specific and it needs to be clear. So I said in this, we're going to look at a live grant application. So I have let me get out of this. I've got a live grant application. Move these things around, presuming that you can still see so the little control panel down here. So here's a live grant application. And this is the Alfred Felton Bequest Small Grants. So get online, women in business. So this is the grant form. So I filled it in with a dummy grant earlier. One I prepared earlier, so that we could get onto this. So it's an Alfred Felton Bequest Small Grant. So it's helping women in business. So I got on there and I opened up the tab. So I'll just paste. No, that's a Zoom. Anyway, so if you go to the Alfred Equity Trustee, Smarty Grants, the Alfred Fenton, then you can apply for this grant. It's live now. So go through the grant, privacy statement, and it tells you about how to complete the form, how to submit your form. Keeps going. Next page. And this is a really simple grant. So the organisation name, the ABN, DGR numbers. I'm not DGR registered, and my name and my phone number. Help women get their business online and work from home. So I just made this up. So get online, women in business, and it's a $20,000 amount, and the total project cost is $20,000. So I see that Anna just raised your hand. I will pause, Zoom recording, share screen. Okay, can you see it now? Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, so it's Alfred Felton Bequest Small Grants, get online, women in business. That's about getting women into the workforce. So it's a small philanthropic fund. So I just went in and put in some dummy things. DGR status, I don't have DGR status, but I ticked that I didn't have one. And here, briefly describe what your organisation does. So this is just a really short help women get their business online. It's up to 100 words. You have to be clear, concise, because it only gives you 100 words, and then asks you for the money, how much you want, and when you're going to start. And this grant is different to most other grants, because most other grants that I come across, you actually have to do it in the future, and you have to estimate when it's going to start. So you kind of have to figure out when they're going to give you the money as to when it's going to start. But this grant is different in that it allows you to pay for things that you've done in the past. So it asks you who are the expected primary beneficiaries, indicate which areas of interest of your project. So it's an early intervention project or prevention that tackles the causes of disadvantage. So I was saying that I'm going to get women online in their businesses, so stop them being disadvantaged. The project is located in rural and regional areas. So if we weren't affected by coronavirus, I would have some things in the project to go out into rural areas and talk to local women there. But given that it's not this project, I'd still focus on rural areas and how I can get more women outreach and get them online. So description, so this one's got 400 words, help women to get set up in rural areas by going online and teaching women in rural areas. So again, it's got 400 words. I was just doing something really short. I'm not actually planning on applying for this. Where request is is to support running of a program, identify how the project will be sustained after the funding period has concluded. So the project will be set up and run to support women who will in future be self-sustainable because they'll have income developed. Once that is run, the program will become self-sustaining by fees paid, will be used to offset costs to women in regional areas in the future. So it might be a good idea to put some bullet points and some ideas about how it might be sustainable in the future. Now it says here, upload a PDF file containing information regarding the project income and expenditure. So again, I did a really quick budget here. It talks about income and expenditure. So I didn't talk about income, I just did a quick budget. Now they want you to spend $20,000 and you need to think about, $20,000 mightn't seem all that much, but if you have to manage it, or if you may not need $20,000, so then you wouldn't be eligible. And actually, I struggled to come up with $20,000 of things that I would need. If I was actually driving around the country and talking to women, that might be a different story. Right, so I put in here a computer, online source, Facebook free, AdWords maybe $1,000, get videos produced, $5,000, Zoom can be free, scriptwriter, maybe a virtual assistant, and YouTube can be free as well. So that's just a basic outline of a budget. They don't have to be onerous, but it is a good idea to be thorough in what you're going to spend the money on, and maybe give some ideas of how those things would help the project. So this is not a long project, so it's save and progress. Next page. Next page. And this is actually it, save and close. And the next page I think is actually a submission, which I don't want to do because I don't want to actually submit for this grant. So next page. And yeah, so you just end up submitting here. Oh, it tells you some changes to your application are required before you can submit it. Check the highlighted items and fix before you submit. So you can't actually submit. But that's good. You can go through the whole thing again and then you just hit the submit button. So that's a live grant that you can apply for today in Victoria if you're a woman in business. So we'll go back to the presentation. Here we go. So we just did a live demonstration. It probably tells you almost everything about applying for grants, but it's important to identify the problem that you're solving in your project. And the budget for your project. So I just looked at a budget. We just looked at a live grant and a budget. I find budgets really easy to do. I know that some people find that difficult to get their head around, but then I was in sales before. So that's where my background in sales came in really handy, writing budgets for sales and projections and that sort of thing. So I love numbers and I find it really easy. So if that's something that you want help with, then happy to have a consultation. So what you need to know, not only for the grant application, but you need to know for yourself, because you need to know how you're tracking in the, if you've spent too much money or not enough and you need to spend the whole lot, you need to know where you are in the budget cycle. So it's not just for the grant giver, but it's also for your own benefit. It's really useful. So now you have a target, you know what you're aiming for. And it's like, if you're going somewhere, if you're going to Queensland, you know that you take the road. I know that's an old analogy, but you know the path that you're going to take. You get a roadmap. So this is like a budget is like getting your roadmap. You need to know how much you're going to spend. You need to know what the signposts are. You need to know what the things are along the way, because you need to know, like if it's a $20,000 grant and you spent $15,000 and it's only in the first week, then you know that you're a bit off target. So that's a bit like, if you're driving to Queensland and one of the signposts says, 5 kilometres to Adelaide, you know you're a bit off target. So it helps you know where you're going. It helps you know if you're achieving the aims that you want to. So it depends on what you're doing as to what goes in your budget. For example, the example I used earlier with people who are homeless, if you're trying to help them, you're trying to you know, we raised some money to get some swags for people. They're only $80 each, and we bought some swags. I think we raised $400, and we got 5 people, homeless people, swags that they could sleep in. Or it might be, you know, are you feeding people, or are you trying to get a roof over their head? So it depends what you're doing as to how you're going to go about what's going in your budget. So, you know, are you running sausage sizzles to raise some money, or are you selling wristbands? Some people sell wristbands, and there's been some really creative ways of raising money, which I really like. I think that raising money and going for, you know, fundraising has more benefits than actually just applying for a grant, because with fundraising, you can actually get more people on board. You can get more people engaged, which is really nice. Step 4, fundraising and platforms. Oh, we went a bit fast. So you can find people to sponsor your business or business, like I showed you earlier on in my fundraising journey. I had people actually, once we started an organization, people gave us money. So find a reason and a way to take the money, and people give you money. So, and it comes back to, again, we talk about business applications, same thing, you put form and function around what you want to do and how you want to do it. And you need to be clear when you're applying for a business grant. You need to be clear in why you need that business grant and how that's going to help your business. So it's much the same. It's much the same with not-for-profits and philanthropic organizations as business. You need to be clear. And the 3 steps that you need to do, put it in writing. Have the beginning, the proposal, and the budget. So those are the 3 steps. I used to think it was all about the mission. And then I realized it's not about the mission. It's about the budget. It's about the money. And I thought it's not about the money. It's about the proposal. So it's about the steps that you take. But if I can't emphasize enough, the thing is about putting form and function around your passion and purpose, because that's what leads you to where you want to get to. So I had a look at different fundraising platforms, and there's a number of different fundraising platforms. So there's GoFundMe, which is fairly generic, and you can use that for all sorts of things. There's Fundly. At the time, I was looking for business fundraising platforms, and Kickstarter is a really good one for business fundraising. So some people might not qualify for a loan. They might have a business and might not qualify for a loan, and they might not qualify for a grant, but a Kickstarter might be a way to go to raise some funds to get their business going. And again, it's a fundraising platform, so it's an opportunity to get people engaged. It's almost like a marketing opportunity. And I was saying before that there's been some creative ways of people who raise money. And this is the Alana and Madeline Foundation, which unfortunately was set up after some tragic circumstances by Alana and Madeline Walter Mickett father. And you see here Princess Mary came out to a ball, and they raised a whole lot of money, and they, you know, do good work and all that sort of thing. But this one here, which I found really interesting, was at the chocolatieri. They had a number of these fiberglass kangaroos with different designs on them, and they had people putting money in money boxes, voting for which kangaroo they liked, and then at the end of it, they auctioned them off, and they raised something like $60,000. So I think that, you know, there's creative ways that you can go about raising funds, and this down here is the ball that they had with Princess Mary. So I really like this because they raised a lot of money, but it also engaged the chocolatieri in Yarra Glen. And people were going there to look at the kangaroos and also to give money, and it got, the chocolatieri gave them, you know, some free advertising as well. So maybe it wasn't so free, but it gave them some exposure. So it's always a good idea to look at the different opportunities and not just grants alone. So where to find the money? Let's pop that up there. Where do you find the money? So there's grants, philanthropic organisations, sponsorship, and fundraising. Here's some grant opportunities, or you look at the government website and find many grants. So this is the federal government. So when you look at the federal government grants, they're usually really big, lots of money. And they're usually grants that, there are federal grants for biotechnology, IT, things that are of strategic importance to Australia. But it's usually big amounts of money where they distribute it through the states. So they break it down and distribute it through the states. So if we had that amount of money, as I said before, it can be onerous to manage that amount of money. You can look on the federal government website and see what's coming out and see if there is anything. There is a federal grant at the moment for women in business. So grants do come up, but usually they're really big grants that are cut down and distributed via the states. In Victoria, I put this in because if you're a not-for-profit organisation or if you're a club or an incorporated association, this is on the Consumer Affairs website. So if you're setting up an incorporated association, this has got some really good information. I really like, you can go on and look on Consumer Affairs. It talks about business as well, but it's got the incorporated associations and it's got model rules and tell you what you should do and tell you what you shouldn't do, and also business registrations. So if you're in Victoria, incorporated associations, even if you're not in Victoria, it's a really useful website. But in the other states, it's called the Office of Fair Trading in Queensland and New South Wales, I think. So it's a really good idea to have a look what's going on in your state. But I can post the different names of the different government organisations on the Grants Made Easy Facebook page so that you can know if you're not in Victoria. So the 3 levels of government: federal parliament, state, and the local government. So for business grants, you can look in your state. That's mostly where you're going to find business grants. And then there's the local government. Now, local government does have, they have regularly community grants. So to set up, it might be that you set up a women's group. They do have some economic grants as well, where they try to stimulate some business as well. It's a good idea to look on the state websites, but also the local government. Talk to your local council and see what they're doing and see if they're doing anything, doing any business development or any networking events. Sometimes they, I know some local businesses have actually run the fundraising events for local government, which really gives them some good exposure. So local government's really another good place. And the thing is with the smaller grants, they're small, but they're easier to get when they're smaller. When they're big, you have to have a really big proposal with a lot of information and forecasts and things like that. So let's recap. There's the 5 steps, 5 total steps that we went through. Was the beginning, your proposal, writing a budget, fundraising platforms, and where to find the money. So I charge now $750 to write a grant. So if somebody comes to me and says, can you help me write the grant, or can you write the grant, that's where it starts. Or it's $350 where I go side by side with you and write the grant with you, or $170, $75 for an online 30-minute session. But I'm running a course next week to help people get online, to help people find grants and apply for them, and it's only $297. But that's not all. So I just go over again. Day 1, we're going to talk about the beginning. Who are you? What you've got. Day 2, your proposal. Day 3, writing your budget. Day 4, fundraising and the secrets that I won't share anywhere else. So there's a couple of secrets about how I've been able to be 100% successful in getting the special school set up, a cafe for people with disabilities, and the support groups that I have, and some of the other projects as well that I won't be sharing anywhere else but only in the course. And day 5, where to find the money. So not only 5 days of grant writing, you'll get a grants proposal that you'll have and you can use it over and over again. Plus you get the secrets that I used to set up the special school and the cafe for disabilities. Again, I'm not sharing them anywhere else, only in the course. And it's launching March 30. But for the next 24 hours, it's only $197 for the course and the workbook. So if that's something that you're interested in doing over 5 days, where we get down and actually write grant applications, $197, but only for the next 24 hours. So this week only, or for this 24 hours, it's only $197. And if you're interested, there's the link there. Grants Made Easy, 5 steps. Let me link. So thanks for being on the call tonight, and I hope that it's been useful. I'll stop share, and